Hello everyone and welcome to another video. So in today's video I have a very exciting package. As you can probably see from the title, I bought a MinisForum MS-A2, and just to start off by saying this is not a sponsored video. I did buy this with my own hard-earned money, so I'll just be giving my own opinion. And yeah, if MinisForum, if you do want to sponsor me, please reach out. You know where to find my email. But yeah, this is I bought this with my own money. And shall we just get into it? I did already open it because I couldn't keep in my excitement. So yeah, I was talking on Discord with a member of my Playhouse's Patreon, who is another IT YouTuber here in Denmark. And I was talking with him on Discord, and yeah, I couldn't keep in my excitement, so I opened it. And then he also bought one, so you might see an upcoming video on Morten's channel, because he also bought one of these because he got jealous, I guess. But this one has the AMD Ryzen 9955HX CPU, which is the top of the model CPU that comes in this box. It also has a variant where you can get 8 cores and 16 threads. This one has 16 cores, 32 threads. There's also the option to get a 8945HX, but that one you could only get with the RAM included, whereas this one I bought as a bare bone. It would cost pretty much double to get the 32 gigs RAM and 1 terabyte SSD. So I had to pay a bit more to get not as much more performance for the better CPU, but I could get that in a bare bone. And the RAM and storage that I'm going to be putting into this is actually what I used in video 14 and 16, which I'm basically going to undo all the stuff that I did there. This one I bought from a Sports World website, which they were selling it cheap. I don't know why they even had it in their catalog. And this one just didn't go up in price yet. So, but in video 14 and 16 I installed these in my work laptop because I had no other use for them because they were just cheap, so I bought them. But yeah, now I'm undoing it, taking them out of my work laptop. That's what you can see here in the background, which is cloning away. I'm currently cloning this 2 terabyte to the original 500 gigabyte that came in my laptop there. So in total I have 64 gigabytes of Kingston RAM. We can just have a look at, see what it is. Now without any further ado, let's just start unpacking it. So it comes in this pretty nice cardboard box with a little sleeve around it. And after that it's kind of a Apple-esque style box where it kind of goes up like this. And it gets very nicely presented with a drooling catalog, so you can see what else you might want to buy in the future. But I don't think I'm gonna need that because it's more expensive. But this NAS actually I've heard many good things about. I think it has 4 or 5 bays and a pretty good processor also, so it's supposed to be a pretty good NAS. This unit I paid 850 something euros. I'll put up the different variations on screen so you can see how much I paid for it. But in Danish kroners it was about 6,200, which I feel like it's expensive, but it's reasonable considering that it's a pretty beefy CPU. Continuing to unpack it, it just comes out of the bag. Now the cat is out of the bag. It comes with some foam on the back. And so yeah, here we have it. We can see the back side of it. We have two 10 gigabit SFP, which I think are Intel, and then there's a Realtek 2.5 gigabit and an Intel 2.5 gigabit. Then it has a PCI Express full half height X16 slot, some HDMI, some USB-C, some USB-A. Probably not going to need those for anything. I'm just planning to run this as a Proxmox host, and then right now I'm running my Proxmox host in on my NAS. So my NAS is actually virtualized in the Proxmox and has some PCI pass-through, but the CPU in my NAS is starting to get kind of overloaded with all the stuff I'm running. So I want to move all my Proxmox stuff to this MinisForum, and then I want to install Truenas bare metal on my NAS, so there isn't anything else running on that because it's getting quite overloaded. Continuing to look in the box, there should be some more stuff here. So there's a massive power brick. Let's see the specs of it. So this massive power brick is 240 watts. That's pretty insane. In the box there also comes a HDMI cable, I think it is. Yep. And a power cable, just a regular IEC. I was actually concerned that it would have been a Mickey Mouse connector, but it isn't. It's just a regular IEC C14 and 13 plug, which is nice because in my rack I have a regular PDU, so I would have to get a special adapter cable if I wanted it to plug into the PDU if it was using a Mickey Mouse connector, but it isn't. All the other stuff in the box seems to be some kind of I believe this is a heatsink for the NVMe. It has 2 NVMe slots, and then it comes with probably some screws for the NVMe, I would assume. Don't know what else would it be. And then this mystery box here has a little power cable. I think this is the U.2. So yeah, this is a little board for the U.2 to sit on, and yeah, then it connects. Oh, maybe it doesn't actually take up the X16 slot. This just sits in an NVMe thing. So you put it in an NVMe slot and then it converts it to U.2, and then the extra power. There were some previous MinisForum models which had a little switch for the M.2 port, and they called it the kill switch, because if you had the switch in the wrong place and you plugged in a regular M.2, it would fry it, because this needs, I believe it's just 12 volt and the regular M.2 needs only 5 volt probably. So it would fry your M.2 if it was in the wrong position, which, yeah, they don't have that anymore because now they're using a separate little power connector, which is nice. So I'm just gonna put this back in the box because I don't need it. So here we have the unit by itself, and the way you take it apart is actually pretty easy. There's just a button here on the back that you push, and then the whole thing just slides out of the metal chassis. Now having a look inside, we see the PCIe X16 slot, and I believe also the U.2 goes somewhere around here. It probably mounts here actually. There's an M.2 slot right here, and the power connector is here, and I assume you screw it in somewhere. There's some standoffs here that you can screw it into, so you can put a regular NVMe. Now to get access to the RAM, all you have to do is take off what I believe just these 3 screws, and the fan should come out, and then after that there's the 2 RAM slots, which I hope is correct. We'll find out. So yeah, 3 screws and 1 fan comes out, and we can carefully remove the little connector. I can take my 2 RAM modules, and these RAM modules, I believe they are they're 32 gigabyte 5600 if I remember correctly. So that one also carefully slots in. That didn't click, but maybe, yeah, it's in. So the fan goes back in place, plugs into the tiny little connector. There we go. And the 3 screws go back in, and I am willing to screw it in before testing it because I'm sure it's gonna work. I don't see why not. Now to install the first SSD, I'm gonna be using one of these Intel Optane for the Proxmox OS itself, and then I'm gonna be installing the 2 terabyte NVMe as a ZFS data drive later, just so I have all of the NVMe of the data drive actually allocated to be able to use inside of Proxmox. So I believe, yeah, there should be 2 NVMe slots, and I don't know where the second one is. So I see 1 here, and I don't see the second one. Was it under the fan? Maybe it was. Not under the fan. Ah, okay, now I see it. Actually, the second NVMe slot is way in behind the fan here, so you need to take this fan out, which seems to be these screws. This little guy comes out. Oh, it comes with a Wi-Fi, and apparently there's 3 M.2 slots, not just 2. So that's nice. I thought there was only 2, but of course the screw is not installed there, so I need to unpack this whole thing again. So apparently I can only figure out that it comes with 2 NVMe screws, not 3. I don't know where the third one is supposed to be, but yeah, I found 2 in the included little plastic bag. So I'm just gonna screw one of them in here and put in my little Optane module and put in the second screw here. And then I plan to put my Samsung 980 in this slot, because then it can have the heatsink on it, because I don't think the heatsink will fit when the fan is here. If I have a look at it, it's yeah, the fan is right over the NVMe, so no fan, but that's fine. Or no heatsink, but it does have a fan right over it, so it should be plenty cool. So yeah, put the second screw here, and I don't know where the there's only 2 screws in this bag, and the bag with the other screws is for the U.2 adapter. So it would seem that they have given me 1 screw too little. Well, which I guess is always annoying, but I do have other NVMe screws, so I'm not gonna complain about it. I'm just gonna put those in. It's not worth them having to send me a whole thing of screws just because it's missing one. So here I have just something from AliExpress, fits right in, perfect. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So let's close this. I thought it only had 2 M.2 slots, but yeah, I guess not. Yeah, when my SSD is done cloning, I will put in the 2 terabyte thing here, but I think we can get to installing the OS on this one. I'm not gonna put in a PCI card yet, because yeah, currently I don't have anything that I want to add as a PCI card, but yeah, I could do that in the future. It is now the next day, and I have installed the server on my rack shelf right next to my Proxmox backup server. And yeah, you can see here it is connected via a 10 gigabit SFP. I'm not sure which one of these ports is port 1 and 2, so I just connected it to the leftmost one. Then I've connected my little USB installation that should have Proxmox on it. I've connected some HDMI because it doesn't have remote management, my keyboard, and the ginormous power supply, which yeah, sits on top of the switch along with the power supply for my my backup server right there. And yeah, I think we should just go ahead and fire it up, see what happens. If I can find the power button. So we definitely hear it. I don't know if you can hear it on video, but I can hear it. And yeah, you can definitely feel the airflow coming out. Should we just have a look at the screen, see if anything happens. Currently nothing. So my KVM console inside the rack only does VGA, and yeah, here we have a picture starting to boot. And yeah, I finished cloning the SSD that I talked about in the previous clip, but I didn't actually get to wiping it yet, so we still have my old OS on it. But I'll just set up the camera and let's go through the installation. So I've connected my little Logitech keyboard here, and I think we should try to get in the BIOS, which I believe would be the delete key. So did it turn off or did it reboot? I think it turned off. Let's turn it on again. Do it from the front this time. And yeah, the SSD did finish cloning before I got around to actually powering this on. So it does have the both SSDs in it, not just one of them. So I'm mashing delete. And okay, so this is the BIOS. We can see setup. And this looks like a Windows 8 something. They took after that. So secure boot. I mean, we can have that enabled. That should work. I think Proxmox has secure boot. Let's just change the boot order. Boot options. Yeah, so I can actually also do a temporary boot here. So we'll just do my gigabit. And yeah. It doesn't actually do it. So this one should be the correct one. We'll do save and exit. And we'll do save changes and exit. And yes. So now, yeah, now we're getting somewhere. So it should have the key somewhere here. So enroll key from disk, and then you go to the Ventoy, and then you click the enroll this freaking thing, and then you click continue, and then you click yes, and then yeah, then we did it. Then you click reboot, and it should have secure boot. That was in the previous video when I was doing part 1 of my GPU experiment with the R720. I tried to enroll the key, but apparently they don't have it in the file system. But yeah, Ventoy does have it. So now you can see Ventoy booted, and I should have my Linux and then Proxmox. Okay, maybe I should have actually copied over the latest Proxmox, because this is Proxmox 8, and it would be nice to start with the latest one. Now it has just powered back up, and I thought it would be interesting to have a look at how much power it is using. So right now I have it plugged into my lab PDU and disconnected the R720 from it, and you can see it's using 60 watts currently. I'm hoping that I can change some settings in the BIOS to kind of get that down a bit, because 60 watt idle is a bit high. We have a Proxmox 9, and yeah, I think I will just kind of cut through this, because I think we've seen a Proxmox installation before. Just one thing to note during the installation is that I can see my little 16 gigabyte Optane that I installed, which is going to be the boot drive, and then my 2 terabyte Samsung, and then this is the installation media. So yeah, we'll choose this one. Another thing that is kind of noteworthy during the installation is the network cards. So I think these two would be the 2.5 gigabit, because I know IGC is what a 2.5 gigabit Intel card is called, and this one would probably be the Realtek. Then we have the two 10 gigabits, and then I don't know what this one is. Maybe somebody experienced with Linux can tell me, but MT something something, but it has a MAC address that looks like all the MAC addresses line up, which is interesting, even though that these are different manufacturers from the Realtek, from the chipset. But this one was correct, that this one is the first 10 gigabit one, which is online, so that is correct that I will use that. So now Proxmox has finished installing, and I have just gotten into the setup and changed the boot order so that it would boot Proxmox instead. And the way you have to do that is that you actually have to go down to the bottom here, and you have to select here, and then you can change the different UEFI bootloaders that you want to boot from, because yeah, here you can only select one of them, whichever top one is selected on the other one. Now the other thing, after I booted Proxmox, it was using about 22 watts idle, which is way better than it's doing in the BIOS. So that's interesting. But yeah, I'm gonna mess around with the power setup later. after I've actually gotten stuff installed, but I do think I'm going to turn it down a bit because I've heard some people say that if you turn down the max clock frequency just a tiny bit, then the power efficiency is like way better. But that was also a guy running Windows, and I'm not going to run Windows on this permanently. I think I'm going to run this as a pure Linux thing and get rid of Windows. I can't actually do that because I still have my domain controller. So you can choose if it's balanced, performance, or silent. Well, we're just going to leave it at default. And so we can wake up by these things. I don't really care about that. Yeah, so kind of I feel like they missed the point of having a description field, right? Because it says, yeah, this is not enterprise resource planning, but it just says enable, disable ERP. Yeah, no shit, I could figure that out, but what is ERP? Who knows? Not me. Yeah, I can't really find a power on after AC loss because I don't have remote management into this one. I would like to have AC power on. Yeah, maybe I'm missing something, or maybe it doesn't, or maybe it needs a BIOS update. So you can change the MAC address of it. It's actually quite cool that they have, oh, that's the Realtek. I wasn't that one, it just goes to the top one. So it's actually quite cool that they have all this firmware of the network card actually integrated into the BIOS. That's not always that you see that. It should be a standard feature, and especially on enterprise servers it is a standard feature. You can control the network adapters and the RAID controllers and everything. You can control that through the BIOS, but yeah, you shouldn't take that for granted on a consumer system. Okay, so the Realtek is more of a budget chipset, so that doesn't actually have any configuration. This one is also kind of a more of a budget thing, so I guess this is because it's a server card. This chipset is not meant for workstation, it's meant for servers, so that's why it actually has a bit more. So I actually just googled it, and the guy on Reddit said that he had to ask support to find the option, which, yeah, I understand, because rather than putting it under ACPI, where any sane person would put it, they put it under AMD CPS, whatever that is, and then FCH. And then here it is, power loss options. And yeah, I want to change that to power on. And then there's a save and exit. And now it should power on by default, which is nice. Now I've just saved the config and powered off the system and disconnected the power cord just so we can test if it's working. And I also disconnected the HDMI and USB just to see how much power it uses whenever it's not connected to a monitor. And this is pretty hard to get in all the way one-handed and to tell if it's in. But I can already feel that this is gonna be a toasty boy. Like, it might be a mini PC, it might be low power, but it's gonna have a fun time cooling the CPU because I can feel it's like pretty warm. So yeah, that's interesting. But yeah, it's booting up now in headless mode without a monitor. We can see here on the computer that it is in fact booted up, and if we have a look at the power consumption, it didn't actually change anything removing the HDMI, because yeah, it's drawing 31 watts, 24, I did see 22 right before. Yeah, it's hovering about the mid 20s, 30s ish. Yeah, that's lower than I was expecting with the default BIOS. I do think that I'm gonna have to change some settings in the BIOS, but yeah, let's get to that. Alrighty, so now the Proxmox installation is up and running, and I've just quickly installed a Windows 10 LTSC performance test VM. I'm currently running the benchmarks, so we don't have to sit and wait for it. But while that is running, I think I'm just going to go ahead and change the networking so that it's actually correct as to what it's supposed to be. On my switch here I have plenty of VLANs, and currently the port is just untagged to port to VLAN 99, but I want to have it tagged. So I'm just quickly going to do that if I remember how. So I think first I am going to, this is the VMBR. So if I just copy this guy, and then I add a VLAN, and then call it, I think you can do something clever where you just call it VMBR R 0.1, and then we're doing 99 for example for the thing here, and then 1, so that will be management, Default gateway already. Yeah. Well, okay. That's because I only copied one of them, but I removed the IP, but it just didn't. Yeah. Well, no comment there. Okay, we'll create again a Linux VLAN. Call it VMBR 0.99. Give it the IP. Give it the 241, and we'll call it. So Proxmox will be able to communicate on the management, but of course then what the whole thing about here is then I can create the VLANs on VMBR 0 and I can assign the virtual machines to other VLANs, and it will actually tag those even though I don't need to create them. So that's nice. This one is pointing to NIC 2. So I think NIC 2 is, I can't really see the driver type, but yeah, I think the 2.5 gigabits are these, and then this is, so we'll do SFP plus P1, and then I believe this would be SFP plus P2, and then yeah, these are the RJ45s, which I'm not going to need. I'm probably going to end up installing pfSense on this so I can get rid of my main router, and then once I have pfSense on here, I can pass through 2 network cards here to that. But yeah, this is fine for now, so we have that changed. So yeah, when I hit apply, I'm going to have to, in the same moment, I'm going to have to change this, so it's going to be tagged on pretty much everything, so except default, we don't care about that, so we'll just tag it on all of the VLANs. I'm also considering doing a different project where I'm going to use my edge switch here as a layer 3 switch also, and then have all these stuff be routed on this switch, and then just have my pfSense as an edge firewall, not actually a main. Right now I'm using my pfSense as a router also, but I plan to actually want to use the switch as a layer 3 switch, and then just only use the firewall part of the pfSense. Well, of course it's going to have to do some routing because I do have things that aren't connected in my rack, but yeah, it would be like a multi-router network, but that's a different project. Right now we're just going to tag it on all the VLANs, and then I have to hit apply over here, and then I have to hit apply another one. So this is going to be tagged on 99, and it's the same IP, same gateway, so it should be good. So hit apply, and then hit save, and yeah, we're good. So we can refresh, and we're still able to communicate. So now this is just a VLANified. And then that means I can change this one. Right now it's running on management, which, I mean, it's not the end of the world, but I would like this one to be on VLAN. My main VLAN is VLAN 2. So now that I changed that, doing a quick IP config, I can see here that it has gotten the IP address of the normal LAN instead of the management network, which is nice, which is what I want. Now if we look at the power consumption while the Cinebench 2024 is running, we can see it's using 122 watts currently, and that doesn't really differentiate which benchmark I'm running. I also saw the same power usage with Cinebench 23. Now if we have a look at the score that I got in Cinebench 23, we can see it gets 27,394 points, which if we compare that to my previous video 20, I was testing my R720 server, and this is not the R720 server, this is my desktop which I was comparing it to. So this desktop is a 14600 KF, and we can see that 14600 KF got 20,365. And if we just have a look down here, you can see that it is indeed a 14600 KF comparing that to this one, even though it is a laptop CPU, it gets a better score. So the 14600 KF sits probably right in the middle here. So it's about, I would say, how much is that? 25% better. Of course it isn't in this list here because I don't have the score of that run here, but yeah, it would sit like right in the middle of these two. And yeah, it's a mobile CPU. It uses a fraction of the power, like probably half the power. Right now the whole system is using 122 watts when I was running the benchmark. Yeah, so when that benchmark was running on my desktop, it was using 275 watts, and this guy is running and is using only 122 watts, and it gets 7,000 more points. So that's, yeah, 7,000, I could divide that by, so it's over 25%, it's more like 30% or something, because 7,000 out of 20,000. So yeah, that's quite insane. Now, if we compare the 2024 benchmark, just finished running, and it got 1,652 points. Now, I don't have a benchmark to compare my desktop with, but I do have my Mac Mini, which you can see right here. So this is an M4 Mac Mini, the what was it, 2025 or 2024 model when it came out, and it gets 856 points. While this Mac Mini doesn't use nearly the same amount of power it does as this AMD processor, but yeah, it's still around twice the performance. So yeah, you can actually see they have Apple M1 Ultra in the comparison table here. The scrolling is not that great, so yeah, I can't really. Okay, so you can actually see here 509. So actually my oh, that's not I don't have an M1, I have an M4, so I don't know if it's that in the list here. M1 Ultra. Yeah, so this is about the score of my Mac Mini. So 5600, it says 5800, which is also pretty good. But yeah, this to be fair, the Mac Mini, when it was running and got this score, it used only, what was it, 70 watts, or was it even 50 watts maybe? So it used a way less power than this little MinisForum, but still kind of impressive. And the results are in, so we can see that the score dropped even lower to 24,510, all the way up from 26,300. So we dropped down almost 2,000 points in total. And here I can see that I still left it on silent and put the TJ Max to 78. PBO still negative 500, because PBO is going to handle probably negative 500, as I'm guessing, these small bursts. And I could also see that it's not at all like going, right now when it's in quote idle, it's staying pretty rock solid at 30, whereas before it was actually staying at the idle was like 25, so now it's kind of 30 watts idle, and the load instead was yeah, you can see here it was still 95, so this part was kind of identical as to not setting the TJ Max, but then after sitting at 95 for a bit, I guess the TPU reached TJ Max of 78, and it dropped all the way down to like 85-ish and below. So that's why the like prolonged score is lower, because the CPU was running quite hot. But as the little blog post I read mentioned, that and of course that makes sense, the hotter your CPU is, the longer you're gonna degrade the lifespan of it. And then I just set the performance mode to go nuts, because I don't care about the noise. And that might actually also explain why that it's kind of idling a few watts more than it was without setting. That might have been the performance fan, because the fan is just kind of running more, and I guess maybe a few watts could be the fan. I'm not sure. So I think this is what I'm gonna settle on, because it seems, to me it seems reasonable. Like 24,000 is still like pretty good for a server. It's still better than my desktop. I actually more care about the single core performance, because, well, I still care about multi-core, but the important part, maybe I should compare that actually, the single core performance of this guy compared to my 12400. So I will just try to run a Cinebench single core here, and you can see that. But I think this is the config that I'll settle on, because it seems to be, it's not the absolute lowest at those like 24, 25, 20 watts that I saw before, but it doesn't spike at all. Like right now it's just sitting solidly at 47, 48. But so I think this is what I'm gonna leave it at. Which CPU is it even using? I don't see which one it's even running at, but it is running on one of them. So I'll just run this on my 12400 also. The results for the single core performance is now in. As we can see, we get a score of 1894, while on my current server I get a score of 1248. So it's not actually that big of a difference. I guess it's still 40% extra. But right now my server that I did this performance test on is also still running stuff, so it's not quite apples to apples, because this one is kind of idle and I'm doing a performance test on it, while my main server is still running Jellyfin, and it's currently encoding a lot of stuff, and my Minecraft is running. So that actually makes it worse for that performance comparison, because you would assume that the score would be higher. I just want to do one last performance test in this video before we head off. So here I have my current Minecraft hosting VM, and I have taken the backup and restored it on this new server. Of course I put it on a different network and with a different IP, so I can test it kind of separately, and the main server will still keep running. So this one has 8 cores, and then it has 32 gigs of RAM, 24 to be precise. And if we have a look over here, we can see I have a ATM 10, so all the mods 10 instance running, and I'm currently doing a bit of stress testing on it. So it is definitely going. It's saying right now it's overloaded. 41 ticks behind is not that much, considering how much my current server is behind sometimes. So right now I have 4 players that are, so right now I have 5 players that are online. 3 of them are kind of placed strategically around the map to load as many bases and chunks as possible. And the last guy over here is just that one guy who keeps loading terrain while everyone is playing. So this guy is kind of generating new chunks, not that fast. He's just kind of going. And what usually happens in this kind of scenario, when we're 5 people online and somebody is exploring, as you can see, what usually happens on my current server is that when you try to break something, it comes back. And yeah, I'm testing that now, and it actually seems to be pretty good. So yeah, so far I'm pretty impressed. And also, to be honest, with this new Proxmox server, I'm not gonna run it in Multicraft in a Windows VM. I found something else, I don't remember the name of it, but it was supposed to be integrated with CurseForge directly, and it has like a proxy, so you only need to open one port, and it has like custom host names for each thing. So that's pretty cool. I'll leave a link to it I'll probably show it on screen which one I'm talking about, but there's a Proxmox script for it. So I'll just install that and install the mod pack, and hopefully that will be enough. Now that we've loaded some chunks and played a bit, we can see it does say that it's overloaded, but it's not nearly as bad as I think it would be. Of course I don't have anybody else to test with to do like a more, usual stress test, but I think this is as much as real as it gets. So I can try to load some chunks a bit faster, and it will probably start to fall behind. So like if I fly a bit faster here, and then I take my my other one here, and I try to, so there's one guy who's loading all the chunks, and then you try to move around. You can see it does become a bit slow, but this is just how it is. I think these should be already generated chunks, but let's go to spawn. Yeah, you can see these are already, of course, generated chunks, and it takes a while. Now also, I should note that I'm running all this on the same computer currently, so all the local instances, which I don't know how fair of a test that is, if it should change anything, but yeah, that's just something to note. So yeah, the chunks still load pretty slowly when there's that one guy who's just flying through the terrain, but if we stop him real quick, it should start to get a lot better. So we can maybe just go back, for example. And yeah, it's loading okay now. This one over here should have generated a few chunks. And it's go back to spawn. Yeah, these might have already been loaded, but yeah, right now it's loading okay. So yeah, I feel like this is pretty good. Now, if I, for example, just go down here now and break something, maybe just go back to where I was, because then I don't have to game mode survival, and then I break something. Yeah, see, there's no block lag, which is, I haven't actually got it to make any block lag, and that is kind of the most normal problem on my current server, is that when there's 4 more people online, there starts coming block lag, but it's not doing any of that here. And if we have a look at the CPU usage, it's pretty much using an entire core and then a bit extra on the other ones. Now we can just start this guy again, for example, and see how the CPU usage looks now. So now it's definitely still pegging this core completely, and this is also kind of going, so it didn't actually change much in the CPU usage realm. And yeah, these cores down here are barely used for anything. But yeah, even though this guy is flying all over the place, there's no block lag. We can go to spawn, and okay, I did that. Okay, that's block lag now. Okay, but that's just when I went to spawn and started breaking stuff. So I guess that's fine. Now it's completely gone, even though the other guy is still flying all over the place. Yeah, this one isn't block lag, that's just because it's in a claimed area. So I definitely say that this is a success, and my hope is also that it will run a lot better after I put it into an LXC or Docker container instead of having it run in Windows, because Windows does add a lot of overhead. And just having a look at the power consumption while all this stuff is running, we're using around 70 watts ish, which, I mean, it's not idle, but of course, yeah, it isn't idle because we're 5 people playing. So if I were to log everyone off, and we should see that it should kind of go back to idle. So the CPU usage here is completely down now. And we've dropped to 50 watts already. And I think it would go down even further. Of course, the server is still running, but I believe when nobody's online, it doesn't load anything. So yeah, we see around 50 watts, 46. So it doesn't go all the way down to the idle, which I said before. I might mess around with the not the TJ maxes, that's for the turbo, but the PBO offset. So it's idling around 50 watts now, which I mean, it's okay. And of course, if I were to shut down the server completely, I think it will go down to the low power state that we saw before in the video. Now I've also shut down the VM, and yeah, immediately after shutting down the Windows VM and the server, actually the server was already online, but after shutting down the Windows VM it dropped from 50 to 30 watts. So I think if I were to power on the VM but not power on the server, it would still be pretty power hungry, which just goes to show that I should kind of start get away from Windows, because yeah, maybe it wouldn't do the same with that LXC container. So now we have the plumbing set up on the new server, and it's ready to receive all my VMs from my, well, not old server, but it's gonna be old hypervisor. It's just gonna be running Truenas after this is finished. But yeah, I'm not gonna move over all the VMs today because the video has already been long enough. I might do some videos in the future on moving some of this stuff. I don't know, I'm not sure what I'm gonna make a video on and what I'm just gonna kind of copy paste over. I know the Minecraft server I'm gonna be redoing because I'm tired of multicraft and I don't need to run it in Windows. I also might want to do a video in the future where I configure this as a layer 3 switch instead of layer 2, and then use my pfSense to route from the internet, and then have this as a kind of layer 3 thing, and then maybe also put my pfSense on the new server instead of the current one. I have a little N100 running my pfSense. I might want to move that to this one because it has some extra ports and I only need one uplink, and then this one could just be the kind of downlink for the rest of the network from inside of Proxmox. But that is kind of just speculation. I might do that, I might not do that, who knows, not even me. But that's pretty much it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please remember to leave a like and leave your thoughts down in the comments. While you're down there, you can also go ahead and subscribe, and then I hope to see you next time. Bye for now.